And welcome back to another exciting podcast episode of American Pylon. Your host here, Will Mehal, joined by my counterparts as always, James Thomas Fanning IV, Tyler Combs, and producer Dave behind all the tech making this happen. We don't have a ton to talk about today, which is oftentimes some of our favorite shows, but we are going to talk a little bit about the draft declarees from Georgia, get into where we see them going in the upcoming draft, and then we're going to stumble our way onto a Mount Rushmore discussion, which we have yet to decide. So it's an exciting podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. There were 4 draft entrances from the Georgia Bulldogs here. Some big-time names, some big-time players. And we want to kind of address each one as we go. Let's start off with Elijah Holyfield. What do we see coming from Elijah in the draft coming up? Where do we think he's going to go? Who do you think is going to pick him up? A lot to cover here.
So for me with Holyfield, I guess what we can do one by one is go by whether or not we think they made the right decision to go, and I like that better. Where we see them going. So they were all on the offensive side of the ball. So we have talked about off camera, like you wonder if they'd heard some rumblings of Chaney moving on, and maybe they didn't want to try and learn a new system their senior year. Maybe they felt like typically guys go pro early when they feel like coming back is not going to benefit their draft.
I didn't even think about that. I wonder if the Chaney news was kind of already
and maybe that's why the offense looks so out of sorts in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, I like to think that Chaney's professional enough that he wasn't letting that.
Yeah,
I think that was more on the players just not getting up for the game. But typically players go pro when they feel like coming back for their last year will not raise their draft stock. So, if a guy goes pro after his junior year and he's like a 5th-round pick, people might say that was a poor decision, but I feel like you have to look at it in less of a vacuum than that, because if he came back the next year and realistically was never going to be more than a 4th or 5th-round pick, then why not go early and start getting paid?
Yeah.
Is kind of the way I look at it. So Holyfield is one that I feel like he made the right decision. He's a running back with low tread on his tires. He has such a short shelf life in there. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be like a 3rd or 4th-round pick. I think he'll end up being a steal for someone, because I think he is maybe a better player than what he was ever allowed to show at Georgia. He's very, very patient. He's great at bouncing the ball outside. I don't know how well that'll translate to the NFL just because everyone's so much faster. But, I mean, the SEC defensively is pretty much NFL light. So if you can do it against SEC competition, that's the closest thing that we have to the NFL in our totally unbiased opinion.
I have a hard time disagreeing with anything you said there. I think Holyfield, like you said, he's a patient runner. He's a physical runner. So he's what you think the stereotypical running back is for the NFL, at least a guy like in the goal line situation or in a short yardage situation, which we didn't seem to use him in that. We seemed to substitute Harry in for our short yardage stuff. So maybe there's something to that. I don't know. But yeah, Holyfield, I mean, he started off hot. DeAndre Swift kind of caught back up to him as far as just how talented and versatile Swift is. But as far as Holyfield in the NFL, I mean, I agree. I don't think he's going to be the guy anywhere. I agree with Jimmy. I think he'll be a great steal with low tread, physical back, played in a pro system. Was asked to receive out of the backfield, asked to pass block a lot. You've seen. I guess there's plenty of tape on him to see how well he contributed, and then he was behind some guys who maybe NFL scouts don't really contribute. He sat behind Nick and Sony last year, so that benefits him in some. I guess picking up the game mentally, but I think I don't know. I think he made the right decision. I think it was odd that he was the last one to announce. I was hoping he was going to stay, but of the 4 that left, I thought he was the one that made the most sense to leave.
Yeah,
right. Being a running back,
you're always gonna if you're not sure if you're torn a little bit one way or the other. Running backs are typically gonna lean towards leaving and no hard feelings. I guess is the way I would phrase it. Being a fan that would have preferred to have him stay, but.
Right.
You can't blame a running back for going early because they're always they just take such a beating on their body and they're always one snap away from the career being over.
Right. Just agreeing to come back for another year, what's an average number of carries on a season? I don't even know. 200?
I think Nick and Sony both got more than 200 their senior year. But we ran the ball a lot that year just because we had both of them and Fromm was a freshman.
Right.
So realistically, I bet Holyfield might have gotten like 170 next year.
Yeah,
just pulling a number out of thin air.
Well, and Fromm's junior year, maybe with a new offense, we'll see all that. And again, we don't know if these guys knew that Chaney situation. I'm leaning towards no. I like to think that the coach kind of keeps that to himself, just because if the players know that, maybe some recruits know that, and that really trickles down. So I'm I like to think, or I guess my opinion is, the Cheney situation didn't push these guys out.
Yeah,
Now,
I don't think that's the case, but and Holyfield, he had 159 carries this year,
wow,
including the bowl game. So
okay.
that's 170-ish. Now, I don't think anything really would have changed next year. I mean, maybe if he stayed, had read online rumblings of Harrion was thinking about transferring.
Mm-hmm. That wouldn't surprise me.
So if he had stayed, Harrion might have transferred. Then, depending on what we got out of Zamir White, maybe Holyfield would have had a few more or a few less, because we have no idea what we're going to get with Zamir White when he gets back on the field.
Yeah,
if he returns to form, from everything we've read, could have been good enough to pass up Elijah Holyfield as the number 2 back, even though he was a senior. Or if he is not as, we don't know how close to his ceiling he'll ever reach. So maybe Holyfield could have gotten more carries as a senior because our third string back was not at the caliber that Harrion was playing at this year.
Right. You bring up a good point. Is not just Holyfield leaving to the NFL and about that, how that's going to look for him. It's a vacuum that leaves behind now. Now that we had a few misses on the recruiting trail. We missed John Emery, committed to LSU. I forget the other kid's name that we had. John
Trey
Emery.
Sanders.
Trey Sanders from
went to Bama.
IMG. Yep. So we missed on 2 5-star guys that hurts now that Holyfield's gone as well. It leaves a little bit of an emptier or a little more bare of a backfield than we thought we were going to have. But
it's a bummer. It's been a full year since we've signed a 5-star running back. Georgia Bulldogs have fallen on hard times. We might only have 5 stars in this signing class.
And let's not forget, Jimmy did ride Holyfield the whole year, calling him a scrub. Not really.
I did.
He was our third string.
That to me, yeah.
He was our third best running back going on to the NFL.
And there he goes. That tells me he's not mentally tough.
There
he
you
needed
go.
to come back and prove me wrong. But Holyfield,
That's why he left.
no hard feelings. I'm still rooting for you in the NFL.
There you go. All right.
Moving on.
Who we got next, Will?
Yeah, Riley Ridley.
All right, you want to start this one
Yeah,
out?
We're going his senior season.
This one's kind of a.
This one's tough. Yeah, I think this wasn't the best decision for Riley Ridley. I know it's tough being a wide receiver, but he came on late. I think he came on late last year. Showed us he could be very good in the national championship. He had some moments this year. He was very good. He kind of turned into that Javon Wims for us this year. That kind of that red zone target, that big play receiver, that guy you can go to and target in the end zone rather. So that's exciting. I guess. He's not that refined. I don't think he was ever considered elite. I don't know. I'm going to guess. And wide receivers are a dime a dozen. I'm not as savvy as Jimmy is on the NFL draft stocks. I'm going to say 5th or 6th round. Is that fair?
Okay. I would have him earlier than that. I think his brother played so well earlier this year. That may be something that NFL scouts are going to look at. He's a goofy one to me because I think he'll be drafted first of these 4.
Really?
But I also think that he left the most on the table in terms of coming back for his senior year.
Yeah.
I think that if he could have put together one more really, really good year, he could have been like a late 1st, early 2nd round pick. I see him as like a late 2nd, early 3rd, unless he just like blows up at the combine. And I mean, I've seen mock drafts that have him late in the 1st.
Okay, so I'm way off
already.
base.
Yeah, I think he's going to go higher than you said, but he's a goofy one in that I think he'll go earliest, but I also think he made either the biggest or the second biggest mistake, which we can talk about later in terms of going, just in terms of where his ceiling was. Like we said, it's all about how much can you raise your draft stock by coming back senior year, and I think he had the most to gain by coming back.
Okay.
And his brother was a first-round pick last year. His brother made like $8 million this year, so it's not like his family's hurting for money.
That's true.
Because like a guy like Mecole, who I really don't think should have gone yet, but like he doesn't really come from a good part of Georgia, and that's he's got people that are probably counting on him. So I would never blame a player for going and taking the money. Ridley's a guy that I thought might stay just for the sake of being in college is fun. I mean,
And you're right.
Money doesn't matter if your brother's a millionaire and you know that your mom's taken care of and your aunts and uncles are taken care of, your dad's taken care of, whoever's in that picture, your grandma. I mean, why not enjoy one more year in Athens?
I agree with that. And this is less wear and tear on your body as well as a wide receiver. I mean, Kirby calls them the block, and I think that's huge for NFL when guys love to see that because you're committed to it. But yeah, I guess maybe I'm way off base on where I would place Ridley. It's just I know whenever the draft comes around, there's always these guys like DJ Moore or the guy the Titans got the other year from Western Michigan or something.
Yeah.
There's these guys. So I'm not saying they're maybe 4 or 5 rounds ahead of wide receivers better than Ridley. I just know that defensive line, secondary, quarterback, offensive line. It takes such a precedence in the NFL that wide receivers, who I might think of one of my favorites, like a Ridley or a Mecole, might drop, a lot farther because there's all these other guys that come from Conference USA or Big 12 that I really don't know about that seem to fill in more of what they like to see, I guess. But
I wonder, the thing I will say about Ridley is, and one thing that you hear guys always take into account is who is coming out this year and who they'd have to compete against for picks this year versus next year. And Bama's like an entire starting wide receiver core, 5-star sophomores.
Yeah.
And then Clemson has 2 guys that were former 5-stars that are sophomores. So Bama covered them up pretty good in the national championship, which was one of the things that allowed that Ross kid as a true freshman to just go off.
Justin Ross. That kid was amazing.
Yeah, that was cool. It was fun to watch. But I think there's next year could be, just off the top of my head, thinking about the Southeast, which is where we tend to concentrate what we know. Next year could be a pretty strong class for wide receivers. So maybe Ridley was like, I'm going to take the money now.
Yeah, I can see that.
Less competition.
That's a good point.
Who we got next? Mecole?
Moving
Mecole
along.
Hardman.
Stay in the same position group.
Yeah.
That was a head scratcher to
I
me.
think we all don't understand that. I agree with Jimmy. What Jimmy said is if you think a kid doesn't come from the best situation or has people counting on him, which we cannot speak to, we'll never know anyone's situation to that effect. And the kid's talented, no doubt. It's just he played DB his freshman year. We didn't really get to see the field. We switched him over to wide receiver. Had some early dropsies. Wasn't really sure-handed when catching the ball. He was electric in the punt return and kick return game. Only had 1 touchdown return for special teams his entire career, or 2 years doing it, I guess.
That's crazy.
Which is hard to...
Which we've harped on this podcast a zillion times. Like, he's always just a shoestring away.
Right, and it is. And I've always said he's
the
the best returner in the country that doesn't have a touchdown. And then he got 1, but then he never was able to make it consistently. He was always dangerous. He was always a threat. And I think we even led the SEC, if I'm not mistaken, in punt returns.
I think we did. I think he averaged like 20-something yards.
I know he's talented. And that can obviously... you see all these guys from smaller colleges that go into the NFL and blow up. Hell, Georgia has... Mark Richt was known for it, having recruiting guys who didn't quite perform up to the standard we thought they would, being a 5-star, move on to the NFL and absolutely
crush it,
thrive. So Mecole could do that. I just think the body type, the style, I just don't know. He's a straight line runner, and if he catches the ball, great. But I just don't see that translating very well. NFL is very particular about route running, how crisp you are, how physical you can be. And I just don't. Where Mecole has that ingrained in him from Kirby a little bit, I don't see that being enough of a characteristic for him to have a long career. I guess.
Yeah.
I would love to see him come back. To be completely honest, I don't even think a year coming back would have really made him. You can put some weight on, and it gives you another year of film. But he disappeared after the 4th or 5th game?
I think he was averaging a touchdown a game through 4 games, and then he only had 4 touchdowns the rest of the season.
And he's a threat. So it's kind of like it's almost like being a shutdown corner or safety. You're not going to be on the stat sheet because people don't want to throw towards you. If you're a threat in the field, granted, you should be able to overcome double coverages and complex schemes on the defense, but if defenses are able to take you away from the second half of your season, you're not really on the stat sheet, doesn't speak well to your, outside of being a straight line runner and catching the ball.
Yeah.
He can blow
that's the thing. Like, when you look at a roster in the NFL, it's only 53 spots versus 85 scholarships in college, so you can't really be like a one-trick pony.
Well, like Isaiah McKenzie. Even Terry Godwin. They're damn good dogs, and I love them. They're exciting. They're electric players, but these guys don't tend to translate well. It's the guys who are the Wes Welkers and stuff like that tend to work. I don't know. Maybe they're a little more physical. They're a little thicker. They can definitely get in there in the middle of the defense and withstand some of that beating. I just don't think these guys really are molded like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the thing is, and maybe this is just me being a biased Georgia fan, but from what I read, we consistently are told that we have one of the best strength and conditioning programs in the country. So those guys are probably pretty near their ceiling too.
Yeah.
So if you see Mecole or Terry Godwin or whatever, those guys are ripped. They're cut. They're in good shape. Yeah. But I don't think they can put on that much.
Just
more
relative
weight
to what they're going against.
So it's it's hard to see them being able to take a beating like that.
Yeah. This is where they're asked to play, right? You're asked to play behind the line of scrimmage now, catch a lot of balls behind that scrimmage, or go over the middle and create a slant. So you're either having guys come downhill to get you behind the line of scrimmage, or you're cutting across the middle, and you got. The linebackers in the NFL are huge. That's just a different world out there. So
because you have to be. Occasionally you have the guys that are pretty small and somehow Antonio Brown, I guess, would be the gold standard of he's not that big and he makes it work, but those guys don't come along that often. It's hard to just be fast and make a living just running the deep ball in the NFL.
And even to that point, also being smaller guys. For instance, we saw Mecole as being so talented that we wanted to get him on the field. So we take our own X receiver, slot receiver, being Terry Godwin, move him to the outside and just to get Mecole on the field. So that speaks to his athleticism for sure. And I still think he can have success. It's not like he's going to be an absolute bust. I just think I wish he would have stayed. But I think that speaks a little bit to Terry also is, Terry got to move on the outside. So I would say he's a little more versatile maybe in that sense because he can play both. Yeah. And there was no way for them to
He's got better hands than Mecole too, which you don't stay on an NFL roster very long if you're dropping balls. I mean, you do that for a living. They expect you to catch 100% of balls. So
I guess, we'll see. TBD. I mean, obviously we're all cheering for him.
I think Mecole will go the latest and has the best chance of going undrafted.
I agree with that.
That would be my. So that brings us to...
The next one's my favorite, honestly.
It's
intriguing. Yeah. I love the way Nada came. Just to see where he goes, honestly. Holyfield, I agree. You said Ridley you think might go first. Nada is interesting. He's not elite at anything. He's not super fast, and he's not... I won't say he doesn't have great hands, but he's not... Nothing really jumps off the charts to me with Nada, but he's just reliant. I almost like this is funny because it's a white tight end, with funny hair, but like Travis Kelce. I don't remember Travis Kelce lighting it up in college at Cincinnati.
I don't remember thinking about him in college.
Maybe that's just me having my head in the sand when it comes to where in the hell Cincinnati conference,
Ohio,
U.S. No,
what conference?
USA. I don't even know. So American Athletic. I don't even know what it is, but he's physical enough, and we saw him come on. He scored a lot of important late touchdowns. The ACC championship game was at Bama this year. I think did he score the first one again?
Yeah, I believe he did, and then he scored against Auburn last year.
So he had a knack, and in 2-minute drill, you saw him get open a lot.
The Florida game at the end of the first half of the Florida game, he had like 3 catches.
And then even Tennessee, then that ugly first touchdown from fumbled the ball, he picked it up and ran the thing 60 yards.
He ran right towards me. I was so confused because we were at that game.
He's got. I just don't think it's elite. It's not enough maybe to separate from everyone in the NFL. But it's intriguing because he's definitely physical enough. He's not extremely big, but he just seems to have. He seems to have that toughness and tenacity to get in there and mix it up and make those tough catches.
Yeah, to me, I never saw him take over a game and win a game for us. He was the guy that it was like when we went into 2-minute drill and other teams were really in kind of a...
Feed him.
Yeah, teams were selling out to not give up the deep ball, and he's never going to hurt you.
Yeah.
He's going to be where he's supposed to be. He's going to catch the balls that are catchable, and that's kind of who he is.
So I think he's a great Patriot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, seriously. He'll probably go to the Patriots and win like 6 rings.
Probably.
But I think he could be if you ever watch Hard Knocks, they always seem to focus on like a tight end that's like just on the fringe. It was this guy named Juice this year.
Okay. Juice.
His last name sounded like Juice. No, it was like Juicevic or something. I don't know. But it's always like a fringe player that's like the tight end number 3 who like really, if he makes one mistake in a preseason game, he's going to get cut. So I think Nada's a little ahead of that, but I don't ever see him at like a Travis Kelce, Antonio Gates, like Gronk type level.
No,
that's a pretty high level.
He's not
to compare somebody.
Yeah.
He's not Tom Brady.
He's not going to be a top 3 tight end of all time, so he definitely should have come back first.
I really grew to like Nada. I wish Nada would have stayed. I really do.
I wish he would have too.
I don't want to say he's making a mistake, because who knows? I mean, because the tight ends kind of came on this year in a sense, because I think Jim Chaney, being the old OC, or co-OC, he moved over to tight ends coach. So we saw them a little more involved this year, which was fun. So he kind of sprung up in stats. So I figured, strike the iron while it's hot. Go now, because next year
you don't think you could get any better next year.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you don't know, because that's what it all comes back to that we were talking about is, can you improve your stock by coming back?
Well, think about now. What if Jim Chaney would have left and he would have said, no, I'm going to stay, and he missed the window to declare, which was the 15th, 2 days ago. I mean, I'd have been pissed if I was not, and I said, I'm going to stay. Chaney leaves. Now it's like, great. Now I've lost my position coach, the OC I've known for 3 years, and I'm coming with a total, now I may be
a new OC and a new position coach.
So that's I think he's looking back and saying, this is probably a pretty good decision.
Good time to get out.
Yeah, I guess I really agree with the light Nada, because I know him and Eason seem to be very close. They seem to be the narrative there when they came in.
Out and about in some Athens establishments on a Saturday night before they.
But then he really seemed to get close with Fromm. I don't know. You got to think all the teammates get along. I don't think anyone on any sports team likes everybody in the locker room. So I think that's lollipops and rainbows. That's not always the case. But they seem to really
everybody
mesh.
Likes Rodrigo though.
Yeah, Rodrigo's pretty
Everybody
cool.
seems to love him.
But yeah, that's my.
So here's a question to wrap up: Who is the hardest to replace? Who's the biggest loss in terms of who we have to replace them? Who are we going to miss the most next year? The Roquan of this group, I guess. Which Roquan was our only guy that went early last year, so that was the only like hypothetical. Like, if he was still on the team.
Sounds funny. I want to say Mikol, just because the threat of him going deep and blowing off the top of a defense is something we haven't had in a while.
Yeah,
And
who is supposed to Bush or Landers?
Maybe
those guys are like
Demetrius Robertson.
Yeah, Robertson.
If
that's a
he
good
turns into
Robertson.
that. So, but he has to find himself. So I feel like maybe Mikol didn't light up the stat sheet, but at least having that threat, him disappearing, that wasn't because he wasn't being targeted. That wasn't because he just wasn't running his routes. It was because he was drawing coverage. It was opening up something else for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why, Nada got the jump on the stat sheet a little more. Maybe that's why someone underneath, we got Saul Swift in the passing game a lot this year. So maybe that, unseen, that goes off, that's not on the stat sheet. We don't really get to see how that is attributed to what Mikol draws as far as defensive players to him. But I guess I'm going to say Mikol just because of the home run threat and the excitement he brought to special teams. I mean, anytime you're the number one team in your conference in yards per return and you lose that player, that's a huge part of the game. It's a third of the game that helps your defense, helps your – I mean, that just keeps shifting, the field position, which is football 101. But that's my rambling way of saying Mikol. What do you think?
I don't know. It'd be tough. So I feel like Ridley, even though I feel like like I said, I think he'll get drafted the highest, but I think Holloman behind him is the easiest to replace him. So I'm not terribly worried about that. Holyfield, I mean, Swift is better.
Yeah, I agree.
But you need multiple running backs, especially the offense that Kirby runs. But I think we'll be okay with Harrion in there. We're hoping that Zamir White kind of returns to form. Maybe one of the freshman running backs will surprise us that we have coming in. So I think Mikol's a good one. I could see it being Nauta. We've got Charlie Warner to replace him, who's a senior, so he's got a lot of experience, and that's huge.
So you can,
but he hasn't really played the same role. Well, no. So Ridley and Holyfield, I'm saying, aren't the easier to replace. So it's either Mikol or Isaac Nauta that we're going to miss the most. I think that Nauta's backup has the best chance of replacing him well. Like I would be less surprised to see Charlie Warner step up than I would to see Demetrius Robertson step up.
Yeah, right, yeah. I totally agree with that.
But we just haven't really seen Charlie Warner
turn it on.
Yeah, play in that capacity that Nauta was playing for us.
No, he hasn't. And we've seen him get run over a few times, too, on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Because he did something pretty. He has a big statistic in high school. Do you know what it is? Something to the effect of receiving yards, maybe for a tight end.
I know he played all over the field in high school because he went to a small school up in like Blairsville or somewhere that he's from.
I was like, there's not many traditional tight ends now still in high school football. I feel like.
I think I read when he was in high school, he played like running back, wide receiver, tight end, safety. He was one of those guys. It was a small school, and he was all
I know
over
they
the
always talk about how much of a freak of an athlete he was. Which granted, doesn't always translate from high school to college, from college to NFL. I understand that, but I know people definitely always tout how smart football smart he is, and then how athletic he is. I'm just ready to see that kind of click. And maybe that's what I mean. That's usually what it takes for these kind of guys, right? The next year, they are now the guy ahead of them that was kind of keeping them off the field and taking the attention.
Yeah,
is gone, and they kind of wake up and.
That's the thing you hope comes because I guess I don't know. Mine was pretty rambling too, but we have the least proven commodities behind Nauta to me. Like we have Warner who's played, but if he doesn't pan out, if we're hoping the light comes on his senior year and it's just not. I mean, we already lost Luke Ford to transfer to Illinois.
John Fitzpatrick and Ryan.
Yeah, so Fitzpatrick.
Goad.
I don't know how but he tore his ACL too. So
he did?
Yeah, he'll be cleared by the time fall camp starts. But he'll be coming off of an ACL, and then Fitzpatrick really didn't play very much.
No, he didn't.
Last year.
He played at fullback for the most part.
Yeah. So with losing Mikol and theoretically having Demetrius Robertson step in there, we haven't seen him a ton, but at least we've seen him be productive out at Cal. And then we have a bunch of receivers behind him that, I guess they're all high. We're at the point where everybody on the team was highly ranked coming out of high school. But I feel like it's easier to just get thrown in there and make an impact as a wide receiver than a tight end. So that I think losing Nauta worries me the most. Or I think there's going to be the most plays next year where we're like, oh, man, that might have been a little different
something
if Nauta
underneath.
Was the tight end
something
there.
reliable underneath would have been nice. Yeah, that's a good point.
So we'll see.
I was going to go with Nauta. I mean, I don't know a ton about who Warner is behind him and all he's got. But I know, obviously, we alluded to kind of the chemistry that it seemed like him and Fromm had together. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he was able to step up in big things. But I think so much of that translates not into even necessarily the receptions, but just the work on the line. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I would have to, without going too much into it, say that now is probably, to me, like one of the bigger losses.
Yeah.
So
I remember there were a few highlights. They would always circle Nada, like, look at this block he springs to like bust open a huge run and stuff.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that goes on in praise. It's a thankless job. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, it's
you're
hard to
probably
see that in real time because you're always looking at the ball,
Yeah.
and then if the blocker does their job, they're not involved in the play.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they get called out for that in film and stuff.
Oh, I'm
That's
sure
where
they
get
do.
their congratulations and
That's
everything.
just where we're going to miss it and not
Yeah.
give him enough kudos.
But was it Charlie Warner? I feel like there was a play in the South Carolina game where one of our tight ends was like one-on-one against a linebacker or somebody that was rushing the edge and just totally whiffed. Do you remember that at all?
I remember. I think yes. I think he was in a 3-point stance and he got ran over, got blasted. Yeah, that was Charlie Warner.
Well, it's hard to.
That's what's in my. That's what's in my.
Unrelated, but there was a play when the Titans played the Houston Texans this year that we had our third string tight end Luke Stalker, he's been in the league like 8 years. He went to Tennessee, but he's been kind of all over the place, and he was tasked with blocking Jadeveon Clowney one-on-one.
Okay.
So Mariota got sacked that play. It was just one of those things where you watch, you're like, what the hell did they expect to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's a receiving tight end.
Yeah.
You're blocking him one-on-one with Jadeveon Clowney.
Well, hey, until Nada has a shot to be a journeyman at least. If that guy can make it.
I think he'll. That's I hope I'm wrong, but that's kind of what I see Nada doing as being like a mid-round pick. I think he has the second best chance of not getting drafted behind Mecole. I'd say Mecole has the.
Yeah.
I think he'll get drafted, so I don't know the best way to phrase that, but I think he has the best chance of not getting drafted. But Nada I could see playing through his rookie contract and then kind of bouncing around after that.
Yeah, I guess I always see guys like Mecole, maybe even Nada, the guys that like you don't know exactly where they fit. I guess automatically say Patriots. If they don't get drafted, those get because like Belichick does such a good job of plug and play. If I'm going to take you or a tight end, well now you're going to be a God knows what on my team.
Yeah.
And you're just going to play and
he's going to be like a Pro Bowl linebacker.
It works.
4 years for the Patriots.
So I jokingly always say they'll be. Which hell, I mean, I guess the Patriots at one point had 4 dogs. They had David Andrews, Sony Michel,
Malcolm Mitchell,
and then they had one other. I thought.
Did they?
Before I thought.
I think Kansas City has like 3.
Chris Conley.
Justin Houston.
Who else?
And I think they have one more because I was reading a list of. So here's a fun stat.
Aaron Murray was on.
He was, but at least one former Bulldog is guaranteed a Super Bowl ring this year because all
David
4 teams
Andrews,
that are
Todd Gurley. That's the one I'm rooting for. Go
and
Rams.
then the Saints have. What's his name?
The tight end.
The tight end, yeah. That's
Ben
like
Watson.
100. Ben Watson, yeah.
And
he was a Patriot at one point.
Who's on? Oh, and Chris Conley and
the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs have multiple.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of fun. I think I'm definitely rooting. There's a fun. Who are you guys rooting for of the teams that are left?
Rams.
I'm Rams. We're all here rooting for Tud. Tud gave us some of the best.
Yeah, I love. Yeah,
best seasons
Todd Gurley
of our
is
lives.
so exciting.
Watching
to watch.
him at Georgia was. I wish we could have appreciated more. Like that. That's one thing that I really is special to me about the 2017 season is I felt like that was the most aware of how amazing a player was of Roquan. All season.
Yeah.
Like it was like week 3 and we were all like, we need to appreciate this season because Roquan is
we joked,
legitimate, first team All-American, top 10 pick, one of the best to ever play at Georgia. Like, and we were getting to watch it in real time. Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes I didn't appreciate how good Gurley was when he was at Georgia. Yeah, it's exciting. But
he should have kept going in this season actually, if it weren't for that field goal.
Oh yeah, the
Bears,
the Bink and Dink or whatever they're called.
Oh yeah,
that was wild.
Yeah,
I was rooting for the Bears in that.
I was cheering for the Bears
probably
too.
My second. I would probably cheer for LA over Chicago if they played each other.
I was cheering for the Bears. I have no idea why.
Because of Roquan.
I mean, it was because of Roquan, but I'm saying over the Rams. There's no justification because Gurley is more exciting, but Roquan is just because we really got to experience that in his rookie year. That'd be a very, very fun.
That would have been cool.
Way to celebrate.
I like that Khalil Mack's there. I think it's funny how amazing
that
he did after getting
awesome.
that defense
awesome.
is good. And then Mitchell Trubisky's kind of a silly guy.
Yeah, he is. We're getting to play him too, though. We played North Carolina when they had Mitchell Trubisky in 2014, I think.
No, it was 16. It was Kirby's
Kirby's first year as Easton versus Mitch Trubisky. Ugly game, but
but it was Chubb's first game back from injury. He had 220 yards rushing.
That was an ugly game. But, fun stuff.
Yeah, we were like, the Dogs are so back.
The Dogs
7-5.
Narrator, the Dogs were not back.
The Dogs were not back. Then the Dogs went to Oxford, Mississippi.
Yeah, we went to that game too.
We were at that game. That game was rough. That was the game that made Juwan Briscoe. But the best thing that came, the best thing that came out of that game is that after that, Juwan Briscoe got benched and they started DeAndre Baker. Never looked back.
Really? Mm-hmm. That was it?
That was the game. DeAndre Baker was second string behind Juwan Briscoe going into that game.
Holy, how?
I know. It's insane. I like the joke. I think I saw a tweet or something where it was like, Juwan Briscoe had an interception in that game, but it was only after the wide receiver had burned him like 9 times in a row, and it was like on his 10th pass defended, he had an interception. And it was like, let that be a lesson to everyone. Nobody runs by Juwan Briscoe 10 times in a row.
I remember cussing his name. I mean, the kids, I can't do it on the field, obviously, and this kid's younger than me, but it was so aggravating to watch. I could get blown through every single time they wanted to throw against him.
Well, and Briscoe was like a pretty low-rated 3-star, but Pruitt, I remember, was very, very vocal about him. Like, oh, this kid should have been a 5-star. Like, he's flying so far under the radar. So he was supposed to be Pruitt's like diamond
Real
in the rough.
far.
Music to my ears.
Nope.
Tennessee, enjoy your 3-star, 5 stars.
And Pruitt does do that. I don't know if it's... And I mean, if you're a coach that's being paid millions of dollars a year, you're not just going to go on 247.com and be like, all right, well, I'll just work my way down and target the guys that are rated high. Like, you have to do your own scouting. Yeah, that's what we do. I'm not going to sit there and watch film, but Pruitt, I guess, was known at Alabama, at Florida State, at Georgia, and so I suppose he's doing it at Tennessee now. He's not necessarily chasing stars. He has his own mold of guy that he goes after, but then sometimes
he's got a lot of them.
Sometimes you're going to swing and miss, like with Juwan Briscoe. Oh, my God. That was a miss.
All right.
Well, no matter what happens with these guys, it's going to be fun to watch their career develop. And, when you look...
Yeah, they'll always be Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, and I love turning on a game on Sunday and seeing a Georgia Bulldogs player, especially like when you got like
Dude, Sony
Todd
had himself
Gurley.
a game
Amazing.
this weekend. Sony had 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hell of a showing.
No, I agree with you. I love when they turn it on, like Hines wore it. It is fun.
Yeah.
Granted, that wasn't my time for Georgia, but like it is cool to see a guy just rep the G like all the time. He's up there on stage.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a fun.
Todd Gurley loves Georgia too.
Yeah.
He was very vocal about it on like social media and stuff. And he wore red to the ESPYs last year.
Yeah,
remember he wore a red blazer. They asked him why he's wearing red, and he was like, "Because I'm a dog." It was Maria
awesome.
Taylor that asked him too.
Cool.
So she just put
awesome.
that on a tee.
Yeah.
That was a softball question. Dog to dog.
There you go.
Dude,
number one brand in the world.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun.
Golly. Football season yet?
Oh, yeah, seriously. I think it's like 227 days or something.
All right.
But who's counting? We're going to give a shout out to our friend Ed Freeman, State Farm. We've talked about Ed before on the show. If you're like us and you might be accident prone, then you're also like us and you seek out the best coverage. And that's why we all rely on Ed Freeman, State Farm for all insurance coverage needs. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Just flat out, Ed's the best State Farm agent in the world. I don't need to go any further than that. I think that speaks for itself. So whether you've got a boat, a life, a car, or a house, be sure to check out Ed Freeman State Farm for your insurance coverage needs.
And only if you're in Georgia also.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because he's
licensed in Georgia. And if you need coverage, wait probably till Monday to call him because he's duck hunting right now.
He's duck hunting, yeah.
And his truck is parked at our house.
The man's man. So this is like completely off topic, but I stumbled across this article on ESPN.
This intrigues me.
And I thought it was really interesting. And so apparently this isn't like a brand new thing. I guess they tried this last year. And when I say this, I mean that the NBA is going to have like a panel of referees that will be responding to tweets at the time that they're happening during games to answer questions or comments about calls that are being made on the floor.
So it's not the same refs that are actively reffing the game.
No, it's like a little bit of clickbait when I saw that. I was like, no effing way.
Yeah, here I am.
Yeah.
They're like running down the court.
In the same way that the
Jimmy.
NFL has, who is it, Mike Pierre or whatever, that they have that rules expert that they'll ask about, what was the logic behind this call or whatever.
Sure, but this is interactive with fans.
So,
yeah.
So this isn't getting, easy looks, or softball questions from the guys that are doing the play-by-play. This is some guy sitting in his on his couch making these comments.
Girl.
And sure. And it's like even more so I feel like in basketball, because I feel like some of these fouls are so ticky-tacky. Like, if LeBron's driving, he's going to get a foul.
Super subjective.
Well, I think it'll be funny the first time that LeBron takes 13 steps for a layup and somebody tweets like, How is that not traveling?
James Harden right there.
And they have to like put
Like,
in words
there's no
about
traveling
how
in the
that was not
NBA.
Seriously, I mean, what's their logic going to be? I mean, there are certain plays in the NBA where it's like that was objectively traveling. We've just all like collectively decided to not care in the NBA.
Well, it's not even that.
But when somebody has to go online and put into words how that was not traveling,
It's got to be an
that'd
intern.
kinda funny.
They had to have intern spots or something.
Well, it's like
put on.
that replay of Steph Curry doing the exact same step back. Did you see that? That James Harden does. He has
little
signature
4 steps.
Yeah, he has like a signature step back to pull from beyond the arc.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And they called Steph Curry for traveling, and everybody was just like, and for the next 5 minutes, the play-by-play guys were like, that's literally every 3-point that James Harden does.
Yeah.
Like, and now you're
I
just
have
going to
seen the
randomly
James
call that?
To me, I think when you open yourself up to like a public forum or whatever like that, it's always just it's a circus. It's just clowns.
Oh, I know. I can't
trolls,
wait. I cannot wait.
And I'm sure they'll try to have someone on their best censoring that kind of stuff. But like, it's just gonna be. I mean, I'm sure they'll try their best to make sure they don't get overrun or bottlenecked by like millions of people just slamming down this poor Twitter ref's throat. But like, I just that stuff never works. I feel like whenever you say, "Oh, we're gonna let the public name the school or pick the name of the park or the town," it always ends up being something so stupid and chaotic.
You got to almost pity the refs that are going to be doing this because it's like, dude, this was my day off, and now I got to respond to this crap.
Well, like, I mean, maybe I'm just totally off. It's like someone show me where something to that effect has been opened. It is heavily scrutinized, such as like calls during a game or something, where you open it up to the public's opinion to just jump in at once to have an opinion on the matter, and it worked.
And basketball is so, as we said, so subjective. Like, I could look at any one of those calls and just be like,
yeah,
I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like, what are they expecting? What could this possibly add? I mean, I guess they're thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to bring our viewership up because nobody cares about the regular season.
See, football, this makes more sense in football, honestly.
Oh,
face mask that was a face mask. Like, look at that. Like, just have people like blowing up to have a look
Plus,
at that or something.
You have a lot of the time where it's lengthy review processes.
Yeah.
So you have time to get more people involved. I mean, who knows? At some point, I'm sure they'll probably put some of those tweets on a little ticker at the bottom of the television to see, like.
I mean, that would be
fun.
cool.
I'd
to
like
be
to see that.
And I'm sure they'll be selecting them, like, from people who, this is.
Know what they're talking about? Not
Yeah,
us.
exactly. So, I don't know where they think this is going to go. And it can't be positive. But it's got to be a revenue play.
Twitter is a dark place.
It is.
I
mean, I
don't
guess
know if they're ready for
people that
that
can hide behind profile pictures.
But
and
you
say whatever
can
they want.
already hashtag a game that's being played, like Chicago versus Boston, like Shy versus Boss, and then whatever you want to say about it, everyone can see it already. So I guess it doesn't really change that much. It's just that this is going to be targeted towards.
But I feel like it's going to.
But they're also
some serious trolls now that they know that it's somebody's job to read and respond.
Yeah, like, how do you? I mean,
and that's the thing though. The
fans.
refs have said that they are going to actively participate in these conversations. So they are going to be responding to the. I'm sure only the ones that are legitimate, but at the same time, it's like now you have one forum where everybody knows, and I guess you could have a hashtag, but this is now one username. Mm-hmm. So whereas in hashtags you can vary them, right? So you could have 15, 20.
So people will tweet like at NBA Rev.
It will be at a specific Twitter handle. So you have all of the people watching this game or who just want to troll descending upon one username as opposed to spreading it out a bunch of different hashtags that maybe nobody's even going to step further to look up, if that makes sense.
Maybe this is just a grab at people at the NBA trying to get more eyes on their product. You think more so than an accountability thing?
I do think that.
You think it's more of a, hey,
I think that out loud twice.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I'm glad you agree with that sentiment.
I'm just not catching up. Sorry.
That's exactly what I'm saying because nobody cares about the regular season anymore. The first time they actually tried this was in a finals game last year.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. Okay.
So to state it again. But yeah, I don't know how it's going to go. I think it'll be fun. I think it would be more fun to see this during football because I think more people. Well, I don't know. I think more people are vocal about the calls in football because, to me, unless it's like in the waning seconds of a game, I don't think that it. Not that it doesn't have that big of an impact on a game, but I think it's more so seen in football, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like massive loss of yards, field position, working forward against the defense.
Yeah, and I agree. And there's football. There is some downtime. There's in between downs. There's TV time. There's TV timeouts and everything. But I guess football has a lot slower pace than basketball, so it feels like it fits a little more there.
Yeah.
Not that I want that. I'm old school. I'm totally against even even for NBA the sponsorships on their jerseys. I don't want to go there. I get why. I understand it. I'm not going to tell someone no to millions and billions of dollars.
But it's interesting though because I mean, soccer's done.
Yeah, I was going to say it's pretty
Soccer and
iconic in
NASCAR have done
soccer.
it, but I guess I like the way
like
it's,
Emirates Airline. Is that Barcelona or Real Madrid or whatever?
it's Arsenal, yeah,
Fly Emirates.
But I do agree. I mean, I'm definitely on board with that.
and Real Madrid, yes.
Is
Okay.
keeping it
I was
because
gonna say,
like I would hate.
Ronaldo wears that.
Yeah, I would hate to see that like on an NFL jersey.
Yeah, I would too.
You know, that would be awful. If
it's
it was,
coming though. You know it's coming.
If there's money to be made, people are gonna take a good look at it. It would just be a darn shame because you know those are classic appearances. You know, teams that your family, your parents have grown up watching and generations before, and it's
Yeah,
kinda
that
like
would be a bummer to see
tarnishes.
like Packers or the Steelers with like
Yeah,
OxyClean or something.
Yeah, it just tarnishes.
The
in my
Browns
opinion,
would probably
the
be
brand.
Viagra. Just another thing to
Just
make fun of the
because.
Browns for. Yeah, just because of the Browns.
things are looking up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty funny.
Well done,
That's all
Tyler.
I got. That's
Yeah.
it.
What
All right,
else
well,
we got on here?
We're going to kind of wrap up the show with a Mount Rushmore discussion.
All right.
We attended a wedding this past weekend.
Shout out Michael and Perry.
Yeah, congratulations
congrats, guys.
on your wedding. Very happy for you guys. It was a great wedding. Awesome music. The food. I
Food
told
was
Tyler, I was like,
fantastic.
this is probably one of the best weddings I've ever been to because we came in. I didn't even realize that Perry had as good of a voice as she did.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
that's
was
just
cool.
like me not knowing that. And
It was
Michael,
almost theatrical. Like
yeah,
a theatrical voice.
And Michael, the groom, played the piano apparently. And so we came in. We
Yeah,
expected.
we've known him for 10 years.
I had no idea that he played the piano. And so we walk in and there's like a band set up. I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. Like they got a band. And then they start things off and the bride and groom go up and start like playing and like
And then-
singing
yeah,
Eye of
and
the
then
Tiger and stuff.
Yeah, and the bride's brother was playing lead guitar. Too,
I did
and
not
then
know
there was
that.
a saxophonist.
Yeah,
who-
that was.
But those
Sexy
were all,
sax
yeah,
band.
they were not like a band that the wedding party hired. It was like
It was
the wedding
groomsmen.
party.
It was
Yeah.
it was a wedding
Yeah,
party and
it
the
was
bride.
all just like friends and
And they
family.
crushed
Man.
it.
They were up there jamming.
It was really cool.
A ton of fun. It
Yeah.
was really cool.
They had a good DJ. And then for the food, they did Willie's. They catered Willie's. And I thought that was like the best thing. And it was held at Monday Night Garage, which is a brewery. And with the venue, you basically got all the beer that you wanted to try, which was so cool. They had a ton of different beers. You could have wine. It was just like the perfect mix of
Yeah, it was good.
casual and class, and I had a freaking blast.
We had a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
was a ton of fun.
leading into that Mount Rushmore discussion, we're gonna say
Producer Dave, you got a comment?
No,
You're
I'll-
getting ready to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had a completely different thought when the guys walked up there to their instruments. I wasn't like, "Oh, cool." I was like, "Oh no, this is gonna be terrible," because I was like, they're probably just sitting around. Hey, you remember when we used to play like in your mom's garage?
middle
Like,
school?
yeah, we should do that at your wedding. And like how Michael is, they were like, "Yeah, cool, perfect, let's do that." But then they started playing, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
yeah, they crushed it.
It
That
was
really
good,
it was
the
really
blast.
fun
They
to
had a
watch.
smoke machine going.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what, that's what Melissa
damn.
said. It was like they have a fog machine and everything. And I was like,
Yeah.
they do.
I almost felt bad for the
Backup
DJ
dancers.
when he had to come on after.
Yeah,
just to
yeah.
follow that act.
Everybody like went back to their seats and was like, "All right, we'll just drink."
No, he did a good job.
He
there.
did. It was fun.
All right, so
fun.
our Mount
So
Rushmore
we're
is gonna
going to
be-
lead into the Mount Rushmore discussion with that as what is the Mount Rushmore of best songs to play
At a wedding.
at a wedding. There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
David,
Do not start with me.
I saw you
I
leaning
already
away
got
from the
mine.
mic, so I had to. All right, Tyler,
I
let's
got
hear
mine.
it.
I feel like Tyler and I might have the same one.
Wanna Dance with Somebody
Okay.
by the late, great Whitney Houston is my number one song you have to have at a wedding. There's a bunch of good ones to encourage people to get out there on the dance floor first. I think you have to throw a softball out there that people know how to dance to encourage the mingling to happen, or else you end up with like an 8th grade dance and girls over here, guys over here. But for me, at the peak of the night when everyone's bumping and grinding and getting their groove on and got a few drinks down, Wanna Dance with Somebody is the banger you need at your wedding.
That's a fun one.
David, you need to like drop in some clips of these songs as we go. In the
I think
background.
everyone knows them. I think it's
People have heard that song.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll record Tyler singing it after.
I got it.
I think mine would be in the same vein as Tyler, but mine is even earlier in the night. Just to get everybody on the dance floor would probably be Shout.
Yeah,
That
Shout's a
song.
fun
It's a
one.
classic. It's low hanging fruit, but that seems to be like when dinner's wrapping up, when people have had a few drinks. Sometimes the DJ, leads with some songs that people don't know as well, and the dance floor's not really heating up. So that's the one that he's like, all right, I got people on the dance floor, and then I'll go back
That's
to
funny because Matt goes, "I can't stand when they play Shout."
Who said that?
Who said that?
Matt.
Who's Matt?
Wilbur?
Yeah.
Why?
Wilbur's name is Matt.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's his first name. His last name's Wilbur. His wife is our executive VP of social media and marketing.
Oh, very nice. Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah.
I know her name.
Shout out Lauren. We need to give her all of our Twitter
I
stuff.
love Shout 2. It's fun. I think what made that one so much fun in my mind is the scene in Wedding Crashers.
Yeah.
I'll be a little vulgar for some
and
folks,
maybe that's
but I
why it
think-
reminds me
Yeah, it's
of
so
weddings.
fun.
Yeah.
And like Vince Vaughn's character in the whole movie, they're just like being goof off. Oh, it's just that's a fun scene. I totally agree.
I think that's a fun one.
So I have two. Mine. Well, it's two different instances, right? The first dance, right, between the bride and the groom is "Unforgettable" by Nat King Cole.
Oh wow, you're going real. Okay.
Okay.
That's a great song. And the second one is "Twist and Shout" by the Beatles.
Interesting.
Okay.
Why is it
That's just not something I want to hear, but that's fine. You know, that's you.
different than "Shout"?
I feel like
I
these are
prefer
like
Shout over
I prefer Shout. I feel
Twist and
those are
Shout.
similar songs.
I don't want to twist. I just want to shout.
Yeah. I'm not very good at twisting, but I can shout
Moving on.
all night long.
That's pretty good though. I like that.
I mean, I guess I would have to say Cha-Cha Slide.
Okay, yeah, man.
Oh,
the
that's
electric
terrible.
slide.
That's the only one. See, I have
can't stand that.
in
What?
20.
You like Cha-Cha slide?
Dude,
I
it's
think that
so
one's-
it's so cliche.
I think that one's
so
boring.
Dude, no
overplayed.
way.
Like the Cupid Shuffle.
It's the only one I
Yeah.
can like. I've ever since I've been aware of dancing, I've tried the electric slide and I cannot learn it.
You just got to take some time.
I have no idea.
You can't do the electric slide.
No, I don't know how it works.
That's like four steps.
People start turning around, and I don't know like when
you
they
do the low dip. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch a YouTube.
You always just
video or
kick your right
something.
foot and go where your momentum takes you.
That's
Actually,
I'm like the worst dancer in the world.
That is
I
what
can do that.
That's
I
what
can
I
vouch
do.
for that.
I just don't know when you turn. And
Well, I agree with you, David. I think the cha-cha and like Cupid Shuffle and wobble, that stuff is like pretty popular and just easy and kind of fun for the crowd. I think that's what you play first to kind of get people out because yes, it's I get what y'all are saying. It's not like the most exciting, but I think it's fun because everyone knows how to do it. So it encourages everyone to get out there and like cut loose when they're.
well, Perry did Eye of the Tiger,
One of the
so they
biggest
just
stiffs.
blew it out.
Well, they
right?
threw it out. Yeah, they threw it out. But yeah, I think Michael and Perry started with Shout. That was the first one.
I think
after
it might
their
have been,
band
and
went
that
off.
got everybody on the floor.
Yeah.
One that kind of caught me off guard, so I don't know the average age of our listener, but I think this is pretty specific to millennials, but they played Eye to Eye from the Goofy.
Yeah,
I was
that
going to
was
say
good.
that. They went
was
out on a
fun.
limb. They
Went out
played
there
some
and we were all
Disney.
out there
Awesome
doing
Disney.
the perfect cast.
Yeah.
and,
awesome Disney
That's a
stuff.
very specific reference, but it landed at their wedding.
That was fun. I also thought pretty, and again, it's probably specific to maybe our friend group because they're a bunch of goobers, but like Disney movie songs. Michael and his mom, the what is it, the groom and mother dance?
Oh, it was from Tarzan.
Tarzan.
The You'll Be in My Heart.
Yeah,
by
I
Phil
thought that was
Collins.
pretty.
That was a really
granted,
nice one.
People think that's goofy. It's a cool song in itself, but just the song, what it means in the movie, being a mother's love with a son, which is getting sentimental now. But I thought that was a pretty cool, pretty poignant, targeted way.
And
to
that's very
include that
Michael,
song.
and that's very much of our friend group as well.
Yeah, it was just fun. I thought that was really cool. That was thought
Some
out.
of our friend group.
That was definitely thought out.
Well, if you're really in the friend group, you like Disney songs.
You like Disney movies? I guess we could do. We did DComs, but we should probably do like actual Disney movies as a Mount Rushmore. That might be a whole
It's going to be a whole podcast, in
on
itself.
its own.
We can-
Have
we'll
you
We'll
guys?
get DJ.
Dude, I'm
BJ,
excited
DJ
to
on
see
here.
all the
Live actions.
Well,
coming
yeah,
out.
the Lion
Well-
King isn't live action; it's CGI. But
Terrible. Yeah.
the new Lion King that's coming out looks amazing.
Yeah, and they're doing a live or CGI Aladdin also.
I think Will Smith is
He's a genie,
Cool. Okay.
which, yeah, I think it could be good. They're doing Mulan, but they are doing no music,
I've heard that,
which
so-
is stupid.
Yeah,
That
they're not going to sing
whole-
"Let's Get Down to Business."
That's a great soundtrack. That movie is honestly centered around a lot
pop-up
of the
song.
music.
Yeah.
And you're just like, nah.
Yeah. That's
We're going to do Jurassic Park, but no dinosaurs. Okay.
I wonder
see
if
how
they're
that
going
works
to
out
sing.
for him.
I wonder if they're going to sing in the Lion King.
I would imagine so.
But the "Just Can't Wait to Be King" like scene, I don't know how well that would come off in CGI, where all the animals are stacked on top of each other and stuff. It's
I don't
just
know.
so.
They've already done Jungle Book and they did
Primal.
what's it called? Beauty and the Beast.
It's just not
And
realistic. You can't put a hippo on top of a ostrich.
Jimmy draws a line
tough.
and
Yeah.
not talking animals.
I'm a scientist, and that is not. You don't find that in the wild.
Oh, okay. Same
Oh,
as
no,
like
so we'll
a bunch
see.
of antelopes and stuff worshiping a baby lion.
Baby
you don't,
lion.
You don't see that happening.
Well, that's the circle of life.
Okay.
That's just natural.
That does happen.
Checkmate, atheists.
Antelopes are very religious.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick, easy, low-hanging fruit quiz trivia question. What is the place where Simba is held up? And
Pride Rock?
On that cliff.
Wow.
Okay, I knew someone wouldn't know it. So
He's not
You
really
didn't know that
part
was
of this
called Pride
friend
Rock?
It would have taken me a while to figure that out.
we're probably spiraling out of control here, but yeah,
group. That's the best part of these episodes.
I grew up a different life.
that's fair.
I also enjoyed getting back to the songs. The bride and groom had a really good time with the song's called "Backstreet's Back," right?
oh,
All right.
man. I knew,
They were in which Michael was thriving. I feel like
Yeah.
most of the people that listen to this podcast know Michael. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just our friends.
that might be
listen.
true. Some of our friends or family that don't know him, or other listeners on their sports guys, they're probably stopped listening now.
Yeah,
But,
that's true. Our friends from
He had like
247
completely
probably
sweated
turned
through
this
his
off a while
vest
ago.
and
Yeah.
jacket. It was hilarious.
funny.
But Michael is the kind of guy who will go out and like I need a little liquid courage to get moving and get the joints loosened up. Michael is the kind of guy who will go somewhere, crowded room like at a bar in Atlanta. He'll go out with us just bone dry sober, not a lick of alcohol, and they'll put on Backstreet Boys, and he would just go bust and move out there and clear the dance floor.
Yeah.
He owns it. He loves it. So he was thriving, as Jimmy says. He was enjoying, which makes it fun to me when.
Yeah.
I mean, I know not everyone's like that when they get married and they're, they don't always own the dance floor and they're so energetic. But that to me kind of just keeps the party going and keeps everyone out there because they're having such a good time. You want to go out there and spend it with them. So in short, we really enjoyed our weekend with our friends.
Yeah, it was a really fun wedding.
With a wedding.
Shout out to the newlyweds.
Yeah. For
Anything
sure.
else? David, anything? Preds? How are they looking?
Oh my God, they stomped the Capitals the other night.
Nice. They're defending champs, right?
7-2. Yeah,
7-2. What's the average hockey score? 3-1? 4-1?
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, not 4. I'd say more like
It's
3.
Okay.
3-3-2.
Yeah, so
Dang.
they had a couple rough. They had a long road game series, so they lost a couple. So good win here. Hopefully we win tonight, but we're playing the number 1 ranked in the Central Division right now,
Which is?
the Maple Leafs.
David, I'm so impressed. Look at you,
Toronto.
man.
I
And
think
the cast
Or
of
the-
American Pylon is getting together and having a watch party on
The 5th?
Yep.
February 5th. So we
that'll
may
be
or
fun.
may not broadcast that week, but we will be live tweeting the game.
We're
So
gonna
follow us
We're
on
gonna
Twitter.
periscope it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look for
totally got it wrong.
We're going to
there.
let me, Tyler, and Will. Well, just me and Tyler will be tweeting because we don't know anything about hockey. So it'll probably be fun.
I was thinking about blue logos. It's the Jets. So
It's
no,
the-
it's
Still
Winnipeg.
Canada.
You mean the Thrashers, right?
sure.
Or no? Where did
Jets.
the Thrashers become?
Yeah, they came the Jets.
They did.
The Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, same franchise.
There you
Yeah,
go.
sucks. Atlanta's never going to get another team.
Yeah, we always talk. We'll be sitting around sometimes and be like, man, it'd be fun if Atlanta had a hockey team. I'd go to those games.
had
and it's
two.
Like, well, nope, we did. I didn't. That's why
Well,
they left.
it would
We
be
had
fun.
2
Now that I'm
teams.
this age, I would. Although I do
Yeah,
think,
I
speaking of kind of odd or one-off sport teams, I guess. Have y'all seen the new Atlanta Legends? That's kind of the
Is that
arena
the
football.
Aaron
league?
Murray
Yeah,
is
Aaron
the
Murray's a
quarterback?
quarterback. And there's like a couple of old Georgia and Georgia Tech players that kind of make it up.
It's called like the AAF.
Yeah,
I
something
think.
weird. I was just looking it up, and
Is it at True Arena? Or
It's
is it
in
like
Turner Field. Georgia
Georgia
State
State.
Stadium. It's in
Field.
Turner
It'll
Field.
always be Turner
It's in
Field.
Turner Field, which I think that'd be fun to go to.
I would totally
check out
go
the
to that.
venue.
Probably
now
be
that
on
it's
Inouye, yeah.
been turned over.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And that'd be cool just to see Aaron Murray out there. I mean, granted, it's not the caliber of football of college or NFL, but that's just a fun little thing to go plug in.
Also, that
Yeah.
reminds me, the tickets for the Notre Dame game went out. It's 7. So if you guys want to go,
Nice. I don't have my phone on
be
me,
sure to
but
claim them tonight. I'm definitely going. I already got my ticket. It'll be fun.
There
it'd
you
be
go.
fun. I'd go do that.
So, awesome. Well, from all of us here to all of you out there, we want to say thank you again for joining us. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify. And once again, thanks for listening, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.